Hey everyone and welcome back to the sports section. Now, if a couple of years ago you would have told me that Arsene Wenger would have given the potential next manager for Chelsea some helpful tips, if you would have commented with some positive notes on Chelsea and how to improve the current state of the club, I would have called you a crazy person. But that's exactly what he has done after we lost against Real Madrid, after we crashed out of the Champions League. Now, I've always I always respected Arsene Wenger when he was at Arsenal. I think currently a lot of clubs are probably searching for that one coach, that one Arsene Wenger or Sir Alex Ferguson that could stay at the club for years and years. Of course, some people might say, oh, Arsene Wenger, why would I want a coach like him to be at my club? He hasn't really won much during his career at Arsenal, blah, blah, blah. While it's true, he hasn't won the Premier League with Arsenal since the Invincibles, I think having someone like him at your club is extremely valuable. I think the revolution that he brought with him when he joined Arsenal was incredible, and every club would be lucky to find someone like him. Now, in this video, I also talk about, and I'm not going to say what I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to show you. It comes straight from the mouth of the legend Didier Drogba. And these were comments that were obviously made after we crashed out of the Champions League. So he said, I don't recognize my club. It's no longer the same club. There is a new owner and a new vision. Of course, we try to compare it with what happened during the Roman Abramovich era, where a lot of players were brought in, but the decisions were very intelligent. Bringing in players like Petr Cech, Andrei Shevchenko, Hernan Crespo, Michael Essien, Didier Drogba, Florent Malouda, and I go on, it was done to win titles. They are players with a certain experience. The strategy is now different. We bet on young players. But a dressing room of over 30 players is difficult to manage for a manager. I agree. I think we all agree on the fact that yes, during the Roman Abramovich era, especially at the start, they also bought a lot of players. But like Didier said, those were players that were brought in to win titles. Those weren't players that were brought in for marketing purposes, to sell more shirts, to put on billboards, etc. Or, in some cases, a political message. You can figure out which player I'm talking about here. But back then we bought players because we wanted to win titles. Right now it really feels like we're buying these young players because it's like a fancy, shiny object that we can show off to our fans and show off to sponsors and potential future short-term fans as well. That's not how you're going to win titles, and it's not how you're going to build up a dynasty here. He continued by saying they lack charismatic leaders. You need players that take on the game, that assume their responsibilities. You need a player that brings a bit of madness to the stadium. We've talked about what Thiago Silva said in the last video. If you want to check that out, it's going to be in the top right corner. Now, he is again spot on here. Do you think that 18, 19, 20 years old are charismatic leaders? No, what do they know? What do they know? They've just been playing football, or professional football at the highest level for what, 1, 2, 3 years, maybe? What do they know? Do you want them to be the leaders of the club? Of course, we still have Thiago Silva, we still have Aspi. But 90+% of the rest of the club are super young and have not really experienced much, let's say. Okay, there is Kovacic and Kante as well. But the rest, again, very, very young, very talented, of course, very talented. But where's the leadership? There's no leadership. And there's also no super exciting player that blows up the stadium like Eden Hazard did. Of course, we have talented players, but nobody comes near Eden Hazard's level of football at Chelsea right now. Maybe Felix a little bit sometimes, but he's on loan. He's not our player just yet. And now to move on to what Arsene Wenger said. So he says, I'm worried for Chelsea. If you don't invest the £500 million, well, then you have a problem. They haven't invested well. They have the same weaknesses as before. They don't score enough goals. They've a lot of possession, but not enough conversion. 100% correct here. We've talked about this in the previous video as well. And everybody with eyes and a little brain knows that this is very true. He was then asked if he would be okay with an owner speaking so freely in the dressing room, to which he replied, no, I wouldn't. That was always clear in my mind. I always put that in my contract. The advice I give to young coaches, and in my case here I'll say I think this advice is for the next Chelsea coach as well. When they make contracts, I say make what is important for you. Put that clearly in your contract that you are the only one. Nobody can buy a player without your agreement. Nobody can interfere with the team, and you are solely responsible for managing the team. Why is this important, some of you might ask? Well, what's the point of having a manager if he's not the one deciding, if he's not the one with the vision, if he's not the one telling the board, technical director, sporting director, what needs to be done, who needs to be recruited to make the team better? What's the point of having him? As we discussed in the past video, is it just because the club needs a frontman, a puppet to control for PR purposes or whatnot? What's the point here? If you are the manager, if you are a potential candidate to become manager for Chelsea, which clearly Julian Nagelsmann and Luis Enrique are not anymore because they probably don't want to be puppets. They probably have a very, very good vision. They want control over the squad. Exactly what Thomas Tuchel said here. And maybe this is not just me speculating, by the way. Maybe the ownership were like, no, we are the new owners. We control everything here. And that's why we sacked Thomas Tuchel as well, because he didn't want to give us a tour during halftime to our guests. Come on. Let's be honest here. If we continue this way, we're turning ourselves into a potential Spurs and Arsenal type of club. Let's be honest here. The next manager should be very, very clear and put this in his contract. You want me? I make decisions. I don't make decisions? Okay. Go find yourself a third tier type of manager and good luck cracking the top 4 in the Premier League and ever participating again in the Champions League. It's very clear there will come a moment when even the most delusional fans will realize what is happening right now, and it won't paint a pretty picture for Burley and co. I mean, look at what happens with Manchester United. Of course, they're doing very, very well right now, thanks to the new manager, thanks to Casemiro, and of course, they built out a nice little squad there. But overall, the core, the Glazers, are still there. Fans aren't happy. They've been, I wouldn't say boycotting, but they've let themselves hurt about what they think about the Glazers. I think at this point it will become inevitable until Chelsea fans will turn on Todd Boehly if this continues. Of course, again, this is just my thinking, subjective. Do share your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.